So hi, my name is Chris Barr. I'm from Villanova University, where I am an interface designer and general graphic artist as well. And today I want to talk a little bit about, this is going to be kind of way down here compared to things other people were talking about, but it could be useful for some people as well. So we're gonna somebody voted for it, so we're gonna talk about it. So we're gonna talk about CSS frameworks and in particular how we're using it in some of our projects. And of course I subtitled my talk here, using a CSS framework, or how to spend less time making CS layouts and more time at the Tugboat Brew Pub, where I suggest you try the Chernobyl. It'll really do something to you. So this is a kind of more interactive presentation. We're going to have some fun and play around with some CSS and HTML. So if you want to grab some files, you can grab them from this location. Can everybody see that? Should I leave that up there for a second? Yeah, somebody can stream that on the list. So it's VuFind.org/demo/layout.css, and those are also base.css. We good to go? Okay. So framework, I think most of the developers in the audience know what a framework is, and they probably use it on an almost daily basis. Here's a definition given by someone on the interweb: a set of tools, libraries, conventions, and best practices that attempt to abstract routine tasks into generic modules that can be reused. So basically, we don't want to keep writing the same stuff over and over and over and over and over and over. So we make these little libraries and things that we can reuse, and we can use them in flexible ways. For a long time, CSS and HTML, I'm sure lots of people who are writing CSS and HTML keep little scraps that they cut and paste, and whenever they start a new project, they might cut and paste it in. And this is talking about ways to take that a little bit further and kind of standardize those kinds of practices. So some reasons you might want to think about using a CSS framework. If you've got multiple people working on multiple web pages that have similar looks and feels, even different looks and feels, you can normalize your code base. You can provide documentation. You can bake in a bunch of hacks into the code that you don't have to redo every time you write the CSS file, because unfortunately we have a lot of browsers, some made by Microsoft, that don't quite get the standards right, so we have to make some little hacks here and there. And it's nice if we could easily create multiple layouts from one CSS file and not have to reinvent the wheel each time we do it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to talk a little bit about the project that I'm on. At Villanova University, I work with Andrew Nagy on a project called VuFind, which is a project that we open sourced to the community, and I'm tasked with the interface design of that project. And when I sat down to make that interface, I thought long and hard about it, what we wanted to do with it. Beyond, we have to, obviously, there's things that have to be in there, and those things are all there. But when somebody downloads this thing and starts to install it on their server, one thing we were really interested in is, I don't want you to download VuFind necessarily, run it out of the box, and then everybody has 800 copies of the same VuFind that they're afraid to touch. I wanted to make the customization both through our templating system, which uses mainly Smarty, but also through the CSS. So there are those people who are going to download it. They're going to swap in their logo, maybe put their colors on it. For those people also, some things that I thought might be nice is, for example, we might use a fixed width centered design of 1024 because we like it. Other people might like to go fluid, full screen. Lots of people do that. Should you have to rewrite the CSS in order to be able to do that and change classes throughout the whole system? It would be nice if you didn't. So basically, I started to search for some kind of solution to do that. It's something in the past I had written on my own, but I didn't think writing it on my own I could get something quite as robust as what I found with the Yahoo User Interface. So some of you might be using the Yahoo JavaScript framework for some things. Of course, if we're talking about frameworks, the hot topic now, of course, is JavaScript frameworks. There are quite a few CSS frameworks popping up, notably I think one's called Yet Another CSS Framework. One called Blueprint, which if you're doing extremely complex layouts, it will allow you to do crazy 24-column layouts and stuff like that if you have a need for that. But we kind of liked the Yahoo User Interface, which soon might be called the Microsoft User Interface. But anyhow. So some things we liked about YUI is out of the box it comes with 4 standard layouts, and off the top of my head that is roughly 975 pixels wide, 100% fluid width, 800 and another 900. Some of this is based on Yahoo's needs in the fact that they have ads and things they need to support. So some of the widths that are built in there are based on things like standard ad sizes. In libraries, we don't generally have a need for ads on our websites, thankfully, but if you did, you've got these sizes in there. Another thing that I really liked about the YUI system is that it's all IMS based. So rather than everything being based on pixels, it was based on IMS, which really makes things a lot more accessible, and it makes your layout zoom. And I'm going to try, if I can get on the net here. Oh, well, we'll skip it. But if you go to the VuFind demo, vufind.org/demo, run a search, and then hit the Control+ to bump up the font size. One of the cool things that happens is rather than the text getting larger and the columns staying the same size, the whole site zooms. Some people might like that. I think it's kind of really great. Back to the slides here. Another thing that I really liked, source order independence. So something that the YUI system allows you to do really easily is arrange your source code in pretty much, this is not on the whole, but pretty much order your source in any order that you want. So if you're really trying to optimize for search engines and those sorts of things, you might want to bump your content up to the top of your HTML and your menus to the bottom. Or if you're, for example, really writing things for screen readers, you might want the menus on the top, things like that. And it allows you to do that with the way it's structured. Also, it has really good browser compliance across all of the what they call A-grade browsers. So I think that's IE 5 and up, or maybe it's 6. And most of them, all the modern browsers, of course. And it has a BSD license, so that's good. So even if Microsoft comes in, it'll still be, it's all hosted on SourceForge, so they can't take it away. So the basic YUI system comes with 3 files that you're going to use. The first one, very important, and hopefully people are writing this into their own CSS, is reset.css. As we know, HTML has no style to it. It's a markup language, and all the browsers have their own browser.css file that assigns style to elements like adding lists to bulleted lists and making your H1s a certain size and your H2s a certain size. Those are different between all browsers. The margins and everything are different. So if you really want to create something that looks the way you want it to look and really controlled, the first thing you need to do is wipe everything out. So the reset.css file wipes everything back to 0, takes all the margins out, takes all the font sizes that the browser is going to assign back to 0, and things like that. So that's a really important file, especially if you're going to be tight with the framework. The second file is fonts, and of course that sets the typography, and it's important in the YUI system because, like I said, everything is IMS based. So one of the most important things that that fonts.css file does is assign your base level font. So it assigns the base level font to 13 pixel Arial, and then everything, all of the rest of your fonts, you're going to use percentages based on that. And when it builds these widths for your document, that's an IMS based width that's based on that 13 pixels. Everybody following along with that? And the last one, this is really the file that what it's all about, is the grids.css, and this is the abstracted CSS file that will allow us to make multiple layouts with the same CSS, so we can nest grids and do all kinds of cool thing. And they add another one. It's not really part of the system. It's more for testing use, which is base.css. So we can throw that back in, and I had you guys download that file, and that's going to throw back in some of our margins and stuff, but going to assign it to something that we want it to, for example, our H1s, so they don't all look 13 pixel Arial. So we're adding back in some of that info. So we use it in VuFind. We're using it across all of our new sites that we're rolling out, because we're trying to comply with the look and feel that's mandated by the university on all of our stuff. So, you know, if we can use one CSS file over and over and over, it makes a lot of sense. So this is our new digital library interface, which is rolling out. This is VuFind in our beta site. And so let's play. So if you want to just grab open a text editor or simple text or something like that, I hope people can kind of see that. We'll try to see what we can do with this. So I have a basic HTML page here. If you want to try to copy down the structure that I have, you're free to do it. If not, I'll just do it on my own. One of the weird things is that they prefer a doc type of HTML4. Which is kind of a bummer. I'd rather it be XHTML, but they, through their testing, and because this is running on about every Yahoo site that they have, they find that HTML4 works better in some browsers. So I just have a basic document structure. I have the link to my style sheet, the layout style sheet, and then I have my helper file in here as well, so it makes things a little bit prettier. And this is a basic document structure that we're going to use. We have a first div that's kind of our root node of doc, and then we're going to kind of structure our page into a header, a body, and a footer. I'm going to start out by adding maybe a title to my page here, H1. Code4Lib rocks, something like that. And then we, of course, have to put our copyleft information in the footer. And then we can really start to play around. And this is where things get fun. Oh, good. Yeah, you can just shout things out when I forget them, because that'll happen. We're not going to run this through the validator when we're done. If that's okay with you. Now we start to go to work with some of the YUI stuff. I'm going to make, in my body of my document, I'm going to make a div with a class of YUI -B, which stands for block. So you can use 2 blocks, on a page. And generally, you can think of this as your content block and your menu block. That's how we generally use it. Of course, it's up to you how you use it. So I'm going to put 2 of those on the page. I type slow, so I know in the outline I said I could do this fast, but if I typed faster, I could really do it fast. Now, like I said, this is source order independent, but in order to have that independence, I have to put another wrap around one of the blocks to say which one is our main block. So I make a div with an ID of YUI main, and that's our main block. That's basically our content block rather than our menu block. All right. So now in my menu block here, which is the second block, I might start out by try to keep things relatively pretty. Adding a list for our menu. What is that? Nothing like live code, huh? Pretty. And we're going to end that unordered list and save. So I've just put a menu in my first block, and I could put, for example, a paragraph in my main block. So this, if I knew how to get to Firefox, because, oh, there it is. I can see it now. Let's come back. We'll make us a kind of 2-column layout. What's the template? Supposedly. We forgot one thing. Sorry about that. One of the cool things about YUI and why I love it is it comes with documentation and this handy-dandy cheat sheet that'll tell us all the things we need to know and what I forgot to do. And it'll tell us a little bit about the grid system. And, for example, here's our different document widths. So my main doc is an ID of doc. If I gave it an ID of doc 2, it would be 950 centered. If I give it doc 3, it would be 100%. But one thing we forgot is the grids templates, and that goes on the same div. And we have multiple templates. So what it does with those blocks, it's with our secondary block, not our main block, it's going to put it on the left or right. So I'm running out of time. We'll try to do this quick. So I give a class here. Terminator 2. Ah, crap. No, we put it on the wrong div. Did we? It goes on this div. I'm sorry. Oh, should not have gone to tugboat, huh? Stay away from the Chernobyl. How you feeling, Ed? So, okay, we've got a 2-column layout. Okay, big deal. Then we start to go back into our main area here, and we add the div with a class of YUIG, and that's the grid class. Inside that, we can put an element of YUIU, and that's where we start to get the grid layout. The YUIG class, there's also YUIGB, GC, and that'll, out of the it'll take those two units and split it either 2/3, 1/3, half, half, and things like that. We're out of time. I wish I could type faster. But okay. Any questions in 2 seconds? All right.
Thanks
Thank you.
Chris.